Good morning. This is Ed from Pinball Mayhem, and I wanted to give you my thoughts on the Texas Pinball Festival. Right now I'm having a bit of a pinball hangover from getting back to the show late at, finally got home at about 2 o'clock last night. Flights were good on the way home, not on the way out. So to start off with just a little recap of my trip, I just like to say, the footage that we took and the audio quality was all done with just a cell phone and somewhat with a camera. It was with this little mic, very loud in the hall, and we're gonna review the footage and see how usable it is. I think we're gonna try when we're filming at MGC. We're gonna have a lot better equipment. It's gonna be more than just me. It's gonna be me and Jeremy. Jeremy has some really nice mics, some shotgun mics, so we'll be able to get some interviews in the hall. So I hope you guys can accept the fact that some of our footage is not the greatest. It was also pretty crowded in there too, really loud. The trip out, plane did get delayed. We all boarded the plane, sat there for 45 minutes, and then we all had to get off the plane. They needed a part to come up from Chicago. Apparently that takes about 8 hours. Finally got the part, and within 5 minutes we were able to board the plane. We were supposed to take off at 10. We took off at 5:30, and so I did miss the beginning of the show, which is kind of unfortunate because I planned my flight so I would get there plenty of time, and I would get back way afterwards so I could get a nice meal on my way home. Good thing. This thing is just about this community. The pinball group, the home group, brew group is even tighter. It's just a good group of guys. There's a few bad apples out there, but I found a pinball guy in the airport. We just started kind of bullshitting about not even much pinball related, and just kind of were able to keep each other company, and both of us were happy to have someone to talk to and just keep each other company for the 9 hours or so that our flight was delayed. Very good. When we finally landed, we were all so happy. We our rides that we had previously arranged, and that's another part of it. I had about 2 or 3 people, depending on when I landed, that were landing too, and say, hey, if you're willing to wait a half hour, you can hop in our rental car, or we can share a cab. So unfortunately, because both of us and my other buddy who we were with then, now he's a buddy. He had 2 or 3 people that were going to come from the show to pick him up, and that canceled. So we just shared an Uber ride over to the grounds, and it really had to say that Uber worked out well for me in this trip. It varies depending on popularity, but with the tip, it was like $42 between the airport and the embassy suites. Once we arrived, I got my registration packet, which they had pre-sorted in a nice envelope. Envelope also worked well. I held on to it to keep to put your flyers into, so they didn't get too destroyed on the way home. Also, they gave a few stickers, a couple flyers, for their show this year. But they're really well printed, glossy. I like those. I gotta hang one on the wall so that it'll be behind the rest of my videos. Another thing that we got right away, a half sheet saying, hey, this is the etiquette at the TPF. Make sure, one of those things, don't start 4 games in a row. A lot of things that, suggestions on how to handle your children. Make sure you're with them. If they start 4 games, try to drain them and make sure that they know how. I mean, I thought that was a good thing. I don't know how many people read it, but I did kind of peruse it in the hotel overnight. They also, everyone that was pre-registered got a pre-printed lanyard, which was pretty neat. I'll put a pinball key on there, and this will be hanging from the wall. But something that they did that's pretty witty. They also had these that were blank for people that showed up that day, because they could just write their name in with a Sharpie. What they did is pretty witty. They printed the schedule on the back upside down, so you just flip it up and you can read it. So I thought that was a really kind of cool thought, and I think they did that last year and previous years. Last year was my first year going, but I just want to say, hey, that good shout out to you guys, for that. And they have a nice full color program, and it's mostly ads, and the ads help pay for the show. I get it. The Texas Pinball Raffle, I missed out by 5 tickets on getting a Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, hurts. But some of us that listen to podcasts maybe aren't engulfed in the hobby and can remember names quite as well as other people. I'm not really great at names, especially last names, pronouncing them. But sometimes you know a game and you're like, hey, this is a great board game, or this is a great Steve Ritchie game, and it doesn't. You hear, oh, these guys are going to be at the show, and they're like, that's pretty cool. How am I going to know who they are? So they actually printed in full color a few of the VIPs that are going to be there, even just guests, special guests. They don't have to be having a panel or anything, but just look, hey, I saw George Gomez a few times. Great, I didn't have to approach him, but I knew, hey, that's George. And Lyman Sheets, you got Jerry from P3. And it kind of gives a little bit of rundown of what they've worked on. And the only thing that's just keep in mind in here, it's projects that they've worked on, some with other people, some of their company. It's not like George has a list of every single game that he's been the designer of, or maybe they have some things listed that were projects that they worked on, but they didn't work the primary designer team, Bowden. So I thought that was a really nice touch too, which helped the experience of those that did take the time to open it up at the show. After I got back to the hotel Friday night, was able to peruse that and just see if there's anything interesting didn't want to miss. So the vendors at the show, I try to do kind of a vendor preview video. That's where the one where I'm worried my audio is kind of screwed up. I had this mic, but I had it too close to me. So hopefully you guys can hear something other than my talking. We'll see. I was visited. They had both Comet and Coin Taker, which was pretty cool. I did buy a few things from Comet. I bought a Matrix sampler kit, which had their Matrix system. Talked to them. I showed them pictures of the Ghost in the Shell game and said, hey, what am I trying here? What do you suggest? We kind of talked a little bit about some of the lighting challenges I have. I also picked up one of these pop bumper rings that go inside the pop bumper, so I'm going to try to put in my solid bumper to shine down. I visited Coin Taker, and a friend of mine needed me to pick up some flashes for him. And I also picked up, I think they're the only people that have these little bad boys. They're for the stern start buttons or any of the arcade start buttons. You can't use a shouldered LED that has this. You need the smooth one so that it won't shear the inside of the start button. I tried filing and sanding these down, it doesn't work. So they have these. I mean, and I needed a few. I didn't want to make a whole order for them, which is great. You sometimes even get show specials. I got show specials on almost everything. I think coin takers are pretty much what they were on the site, but it saved me shipping. So that was nice. I picked up a few of these, a couple for friends. Of course, I was picking up stuff for friends too. Titan Pinball was there. I picked up a few rubbers. I'm not going to fully re-rubber my game, but I just wanted to kind of the lower third. I thought would be fun just to play with some colors, or some color flippers and some clears. I picked up from Jerry. I asked P3. I said, hey, you're going to be at the show. I need these two $5 boards. Can you bring them? So I was able to pick them up. He had my online name on there, which is great, and it really helped out the project. And all right, what else did I pick up? I visited the Double Danger booth. Got a card. Their new cards are also a sticker. Witty. I like that. I picked up a really sweet remove before launch keychain and dead flipper patches. So those are definitely I'm gonna have to put those. Don't know where they're gonna go yet, but they're gonna go somewhere. And I visited I have to watch the video to remember the mods, but there's a few mods there. I did pick up a Twinkie, and sometimes it's one of the, for my Ghostbusters, and that's one of those things that sometimes at a show, the show special is enough that, hey, I'll do that. I don't know where I'm going to put it or when, but and I picked up a T-shirt here that I'm wearing. The cool part was they sell out of T-shirts, so if you want one, they make sure you can pre-order it, and there's a checkbox to have it not shipped. Now, if you want to order a bunch of stuff, you can have it shipped and pay shipping. I think it's even either Glidden or Gildan. It's It's a very popular shirt for printing. So if you have any other shirts from other shows, they fit the same. Large, extra large. So now Friday night, I just kind of rubbed elbows with a few people, ran around, said hi, played a few games. Didn't play any of the big ones. Now Saturday was pretty much the big day. Swap meet in the morning was pretty cool. Didn't buy anything. A lot of big stuff. A lot of trashed out parts games. A lot of fun. Brought a truck full of parts games and parts play fields. Everyone clamored for. Hopefully you'll see some of that in the videos. A lot of other people just brought a few tubs worth of parts, and I saw a lot of people walk around with parts they bought. So definitely that was successful for the sellers and for the show to put on. It's always nice to see a swap meet, because some of us don't want to sit around in a booth all weekend or pay the booth price. Some of us just have, we got 4 or 5 bins of stuff that may be worth something but not worth our time to eBay. Recently I got burned on eBay, so I'm kind of just taking a little break of that myself. Going on, let's talk about Saturday at the show. I was able to play a lot of the new games I waited in line for, and let's start with Kingpin. Kingpin, not the distributor, but the Kingpin game was Capcom. Capcom? Yeah, yes. And they was here's another keychain I picked up from Paul James and Jimmy over at Circus Maximus. It looked really well. I mean, nice. I mean, it looked great. Clear on there was only 30 days old, but they were able to take the game apart and put it back together. It played well. Now, of course, you have to understand when you watch videos or read reviews, the code was beta. They spent the last 30 days wiring it together and slapping the code up there to be able to get it playable. So some things like the screen size they're going to adjust. They do plan on having 2 different modes selectable. One which would be emulating the original ROMs, which is what they were running this weekend. That provides you, I believe, the switches to have either complete time playout, more like a safe cracker, and also a standard 3-ball play with the last ball being sudden death mode if you complete modes and build up your energy strength bar, which is right by those flippers, that blue bar that you may see. They pulled that off, but then they're also going to do a more enhanced mode. They're going to use the full LCD screen and put some new high def graphics. I don't know how much they're going to change from the rules set, but only time will tell. Right now, it's a playable game, and it's fun. For a lot of the games, it's a standard Capcom 90s game. It does have a longer ball times than a lot of the other ones coming out right now. That's trying to shove the ball right down the middle on you. But a lot of people that I was watching played it did enjoy it. Let's move on. What do I got? A couple cards. Pinballmods.com. They must have sponsored the show, so I'll just say shout out to them. This was in the goodie bag. Moving along, the other special games. P3 had a really nice booth this year. They had 2 Cosmic Kart racers in a nice arch that looked like it was off the game, but full size. Had a TV display in the top, and showing clips of all their games. Big scrolling advertising, real well put together piece of media there, and a nice display that was on the end cap and drew you into the rest of their booth. And they had a line of all their games. I didn't count, maybe 8 to 10, maybe 8 or so other games, and they had most of their other games that they had were running on those platforms, which was really nice. It's nice so that someone could say, hey, if you're interested in this, you can go down the whole line. So I think that was well put together. I got to play Houdini. I'm not the best pinball player in the world, but I was able to get the ball going around a little bit, and make some shots, make some ramp shots, get it back in the pop bumpers. Here's a back of the flyer. You can see lot going on. Really nice looking game. I saw some people get the catapult. There's a shot back through the flippers. It was just a lot to shoot at that game. It is on the tighter side. You know, you do hit some posts, but if the games weren't hard, you got to make that decision for yourself. So I thought it was a nice shooting, beautiful game. All right. More Texas pinball stickers. They included this in the swag, and on registration out or during the award show, they handed out more stickers, which I thought was pretty darn cool. So from Kingpin and Houdini, let's move around the booth, the hall a little bit. There was, of course, games on free play. There was a mechanical Pong game there. It's a coffee table project. I believe they are going to Midwest Gaming Classic as well. They told me that they're going to bring a couple prototypes, so that should be cool. Get to see some people in the Midwest enjoying that one. And they talked to them at the end of the show. They said they did really well. It was a good show for them. A lot of people loved. Always saw their booth full. People were playing it, and it's a Pong game, but you got physical flippers under glass or paddles that move back and forth with a square box that will move. It's all controlled underneath by magnets and scored. And when it hits, you got this little LEDs that just light up little dots in the corner. Woo! and give you your score. So I thought that was pretty cool. I've seen videos of it before. It was really a treat to play one in person. And so now that moving around, there was to the one corner, which Kingpin Games, which brought Jersey Jacks, and Spooky were right next to each other. It was probably the most packed corner of the hall. A lot of people wanted to play Jersey Jack, Pirates of the Caribbean, and I was able to sit and talk to Eric a little bit about the game. He's real happy with it. This is their Kingpin flyer. I got a signature on the flyer, and I got one for a friend. So we got this is limited edition. I got a collector edition signed. They had all their flyers. They even had Kingpin Games TNA flyers. I didn't get that signed by Scott. I think I'll have to try to get him at MGC. He kept saying he doesn't have a silver Sharpie, so I think we need to all bring a silver Sharpie if we want Scott to sign something for us. All right, more going on. So back to the game. I played Pirates of the Caribbean, and it played well, but I felt that all the games there had weak power. You know, any show you go to, that's the only problem with the show is the power is even though they have good power grids, even though MGC, it's still you're fighting that power grid, the power 400 plus games. MGC in the arcade hall, I think 200 plus games. Dan's going to correct me with the numbers, I'm sure, but it's always fighting weak power, and it seems like the Jersey Jack games do get affected by that a little bit more. It still shot well. I was able to make a lot of the shots. The compass was spinning. It stopped a couple times. I don't know where they're coming with code that. I just made sure I got a game in, and actually I think I got 2 games in on the game. I just wanted to make sure I could make a few shots and see how it felt. It shoots like a narrow body. Speed of a narrow body, but it still is a wide body in my mind. You got those shots, they're just the ramps are a little bit wider, so you do have those shots. Sometimes are a little bit harder to make like the left ramp or the right ramp. Moving right along. So now we're going to the Spooky booth. Now Friday night we could look at Alice Cooper's, but Saturday they had moved it out. They were just doing some last minute updates to it, and it wasn't out there on the floor. And on Friday night they had them right next to each other, but they did rearrange things a little bit so they could have a TNA and then Alice Cooper's. They had the original Whitewood at TNA, which was pretty cool, being able to see people play that one, then hop over in line and play the production model. I played a couple games with people on the whitewood because I have a production model. Didn't need to play that. They did have to turn the volume down, so you could still hear the booming outside the hall, but it wasn't a loud booming because very loud hall. You can't have those things at full volume. There was always somebody playing or waiting in line to play TNA all weekend. From what I saw, even when Alice Cooper came out, a lot of people were liking the game, and a lot of positive reviews, or a lot of positive things I was hearing when I was hanging out in the booth. And then we got the Alice Cooper, which was revealed at 4 o'clock, right after the Bowden demonstration on playing the game, and I really thought that was cool. Even if you didn't want to know how to play TNA, he gave a lot of good little nuggets, little hints on how just to play a pinball. He talked about doing a dead flip. He talked about shaking your hands off and things like that. So just by watching him, and he made some pretty awesome saves, and it was just one of those things where by watching him, hearing him talk, I kind of felt like the whole crowd at Texas got up a notch. If they paid attention to what he said, I saw a lot of people trying to dead flip, a lot of people trying to take what they learned from that. So, and also if you're on the fence about getting a TNA, that'd be a great way to learn how to play it, and then go out and go play it on the ground. Alice Cooper was revealed at 4 and started with a short video. Charlie did a good job, but he was, the audio was a little quiet. Either that or he was losing his voice. So I was halfway up in the hall, but he did a good job. I liked, a lot of people were criticizing, why don't we stream it right away or whatever, but he knew the game is not done. And one thing I like about Spooky, I'm a Spooky fan, so take it for what it is, they finished their code. So if you get a game, I feel if I can get a game from them and it ever needs any fixes or whatever, they're going to take care of it. They worked on Rob Zombie for well after it was finished being programmed or being sold out. They're still doing updates even after they're not making any more of them. So I feel that Alice Cooper has a long way to go with the code. It's a good to show it, and I hope that they can get some more into it and stream it before they go up on sale. The game looks beautiful. It kind of screams, a lot of people are saying this, it screams like a 90s ballet with the artwork style, not quite cartoony like the 80s, but not quite Photoshop like the 90s. I don't like the Photoshop look. It works well. It's very, very green purple palette. The little Easter eggs in there. There is a lot going on. I like that it's open. You got some space to make your shots. Then you go back in the back half, it's just packed full of stuff. You have a guillotine on the right ramp from the upper playfield. So if you make that ramp, it's kind of like a ball lock. On the left, behind the castle wall, you can see there's a little Frankenstein guy that pops up and down depending on the shots you're making. That's pretty neat toy right there. You do have a drop target, a smart drop target on the upper playfield. Upper playfield's pretty short though. When you get the ball up there, you got 1 or 2 shots to make what you need to make, and then you better make it up that right ramp, right up to the upper playfield again if that's where you want to be. The outside orbit shots, there's an outside orbit, and there's an in orbit, and then there's a 3 bank of targets and a 1 ball Denisi lock over by the zombie Denisi, and there's another, maybe it's a scoop or something. It's hidden underneath the castle. There's a lot packed in the game. It just doesn't look like it. The castle's in the back, and that's where everything is packed into, which I like. The outer orbits are a little bit tighter of a shot, which is kind of a good thing because the orbits are what you use to move from room to room. So talking to David Van Ness a little bit, he was describing it. So you want to go through the orbits, you want to find the mode that they did program in. Not every room has a mode yet, but every room will, or I believe will have a mode. So you want to use those orbits to find that room, and that's where when you're looking at the screen, it's a map, that diamond map that you've seen with all the boxes. You're going up and down stairs and through doorways to find those modes. When you find the mode, then you have a shot that you have to make to start the mode. It's different for every mode, and then you complete through it. So that I thought was pretty cool. But those orbits, even for me, world's okayest pinball player, or not the greatest, I was able to make those orbits and move from room to room, kind of get around a little bit. So definitely not super tight. I would say left orbit is not as hard of a shot as it is in Rob Zombie, because Rob Zombie, the left orbit can be take a little bit of practice to be able to hit it strong enough to do what you want to do. So it is easier than that, which I like. Otherwise, on the playfield, it's not the detail you're going to get from Dirty Donnie, but it does have a good hand-drawn art feel, comic book feel. I do like what they did on it, and that goes along with the animations on the back box. So it's Alice Cooper's Nightmare Castle is presented to you as a comic book that you're flipping through, kind of choose your own adventure, comic book style. So you flip through, you see the other windows that you can't see in there, and it kind of gives you direction. A lot of cues what to do is missing in the game right now. But definitely something to play. Watch some videos. They couldn't get any audio. I could hear the music a little bit in the background, even when I was standing right next to the machine. But it was really hard to hear that. But it is in there, and the call outs are definitely done by Alice Cooper. You can hear his voice, which is pretty cool, and he's all hamming it up, and he had fun with it. You could tell. So and Charlie, KT, and Bug, and Sally were all there, and selling shirts and just out there talking to people. Now I did skip over one game. Cosmic Kart Racing was released by P3. I don't have any flyers now. I talked to Jerry a little bit about Cosmic Kart Racing, and he was saying, it's really just kind of the beta release. He wanted to get people playing it. It is, kind of like Alice. It's missing a lot of the call-outs, a lot of the directions. It does a really cool lighting effects. It's the drop-in module in the back, has ramps that have LEDs that go up the sides, and they all kind of change color, and they move with the ball when you make the shots, which is pretty cool. They right now, when I played it, a lot of people were walking away saying, I just don't know what to do, which is kind of, Jerry knew that. The head-to-head is not programmed in yet, but will be soon. But right now, it's kind of like you have to hit your power-ups. So you're hitting the green ramps, all go faster. You drain the ball, it stops you down to 0, gives you the ball back. So more of a timed gameplay where you're completing the race. You're not in the game for the 3 balls. You're in the game to complete the race, and you do time out if you take forever. Every green shot speeds you up, and then there's some turbo boosts that you can use, which are great. But I used my turbo boost right before I crashed and just couldn't get my speed up. There is a post right up the middle where there's one of those gates like they have around the whole thing, where it's flashing a color on top, and I think when you hit the post underneath those gates, you get the color as a negative, so you can get a roadblock which pops up the square boxes in red or yellow and will actually block some of the shots you want to make, and that you have to wait for that to time out. So it did have a very Mario Kart kind of feel, where you're in this cart and you're trying to get the power-ups, you're trying not to hit the negatives, and I feel that there's I believe there's going to be some power-ups in the future, but that game is definitely one to keep an eye on and see where it goes with it. Having that display in the middle kind of guiding you along, I think they have a lot of potential there. So keep the work on that one, Jerry. Overall, Alice Cooper probably had the longest lines. Alice Cooper, Houdini, Kingpin, and Jersey Jack all had lines all through the weekend. A lot of people just wanting to play those games. A lot of people getting out and going back in. Going back to Spooky Booth a little bit more. Sorry for jumping around, but a little bit more notes on what Charlie did. He revealed the game, took the glass off so the cameras could see it, let everyone crowd around, and people were able to touch it if they wanted to, take a look at it, really get a good eye. And then after about 10 minutes, they said, all right, we put the glass on, and they whisked it out onto the field and under the floor. They had it set for 1-ball games on Saturday, to start with. That way, a lot of people could just get a ball in it and get some time. Some people didn't like that, but you wait in line, you only get one ball, and if you drain it, you're done. Well, I agree with that to a point, but on the other point, the line was moving pretty good. It's not like when Dialed In was released, they had a couple games there, and you just sat there and waited, and because it's a longer game. So this was nice that everyone got to at least experience and flip it. You probably had less people walking away that didn't even get to push a button on the game, and more people that were able to experience it. Now, if you wanted more, you could go wait in line, and it would be the equivalent of waiting in line for a 2-ball game. By the end of the night, before they closed on Saturday, they did put a game on 2-ball, and all day Sunday they were on 2 balls. So everyone got a chance to flip it. Houdini was on 2-ball as well, just to kind of keep people moving through the line. They had a lot of Houdini. There was a lot of spooky games there. A lot of P3. There was the one Kingpin, but they were clamoring to get that one together. So everyone was happy to play everything. A lot of vendors seemed like they were doing pretty good. Saturday the show started a little later. There's no swap meet. Sunday there was no swap meet. So I got there and just kind of started talk to everybody I could, and caught an Uber over to barbecue Hard 8, and caught my flight home. Landed on time, so that made me real happy when I took off on time. Actually 10 minutes early. So 9 hours late, 10 minutes early. Wash? I don't know. So hopefully I told you guys enough of what I can remember. Hopefully get some takeaway. It is definitely a show to go, and definitely worth it for the trip for me. If you can go with a group of friends, it's definitely it makes it more fun to have some people to hang out with. Otherwise, plenty of people to just strike a quick conversation with about certain games and such. So I enjoyed myself. Now, me and Jeremy are going to be going to MGC, Midwest Gaming Classic. That's our next show. We're going to go to and be filming there. We are sponsoring the show, and we are going to be, unlike our Texas footage, hopefully we can take away, get some better audio. We're going to have a much better camera equipment. Where Jeremy's going to bring all of his equipment down. He'll bring a shotgun mic, so we'll be able to actually interview people in the noisy hall and get the audio. We're going to be, we got some fun things to reduce the shaking of the camera, things like that. So we also are going to try to edit the footage, and if we can find a good enough connection, we're going to try to be uploading that as the show is going on. So rather than now, we got a week or so of all the footage I took to see what's usable. Jeremy's going to do it as a show. So of course, if you need to see more, want to see more, find us on Pinside, give us a comment. When you see a comment on our Pinball Mayhem forums, we can read those and get those right away. So if we're going to post a video of us setting up games, say, hey, I want to see this specific thing on this game, we'll try our best to do that for you. So thank you very much, and stay tuned. There's going to be a couple more Ghost in the Shell videos coming up. There's going to be a couple more repair videos, more Texas videos, and then we got a month, and then it's going to be Midwest Gaming Classic. Thank you.